advisor to his campaign in the course of the 2020 election. She is intimately familiar with what happened in that campaign, how the president conducted himself, and what has happened since the election that has now been laid before us. Very different competing narratives about it. And Jenna, I think the bottom line that I wanted to just come back to before the Senate returns is, as you said at the outset, when all is said and done, what is fundamentally going on here is political warfare. And what's so worrying about it is that it has huge implications, obviously, for this now former president, but also for our election processes and for the American people themselves. Roughly 70 or maybe even 80%, 80 million of them, I should say, are now being very directly vilified by the people who are attacking Donald Trump for his conduct with terms that are so over the top. I mean, racists and bigots is the least of it. They're being branded.
They've now escalated
as
yes.
white supremacists
yes.
and
now we're all
terrorists
insurrectionists if we don't disavow our allegiance to the principles of the Constitution that Donald Trump stood for and still stands for. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But you're right. This is political warfare, and it's not just about election integrity. It's not just about one issue or another. This is about the Democrats weaponizing the limited powers that are given to Congress, whether it's impeachment, whether it's calling sessions, whether it's calling having any sort of formal inquiry. I mean, we look at what they did during the whole Russia collusion hoax and how they weaponized that entire process. This is about party tribalism over all genuinely being Americans, and understanding that our Constitution requires that we are allegiant to and understand the principles that the Declaration puts forward, which is that our government is obligated by virtue of our founding legal documents to preserve and protect our inalienable rights. We are the country that first recognized through the scope of human history that our rights come from God, our creator, not our government. It used to be that as a collective, we would all determine what rights we would give over to the government in order to have their protection. That's not how it works in America. The government is by the people, of the people, for the people. We, the people, get to select some of our fellow citizens to go to Washington, to go to our state capitals, to participate in a citizen-led government to preserve and protect the rights that we all cherish. That cannot happen in a meaningful way when you have a weaponization of any of those limited powers that are given to government.
Yeah. Tribalism is such a key term here, and I don't know that most of us who are caught up in it or branded in some way by those who are seeking to divide us, seeking to diminish us, seeking to make us submit to their diktat. Have as clear a vision of that as you've just laid out, but I think it's so important to understand. E pluribus unum is on the currency, among other things, of this country, because
in God we trust is as well.
Is indeed it is, but out of many one was the concept that we were not going to be identity politicized. I don't know that anybody would ever have thought of it in those terms back in the founding of this country, but the concept that we were coming together as one people from many backgrounds, from many countries, from many experiences, from many walks of life and so on is central to who we have been and who we must be, I think, if we're going to survive as a nation.
Well, and what people fail to understand with the Democratic left, again, words matter. And they use these terms like diversity, freedom and liberty, and they try to manipulate that term and mean something, and equality, to mean something very, very different than freedom and liberty and true meaningful liberty and justice for all, which is what our nation requires. When we understand that our first freedoms, which is to do exactly what we're doing right now, right, which is freedom of speech, freedom of association, and free exercise of religion, we are able to speak together about truth. And to advocate for our position. And that means that the government cannot compel you or me to say something that goes against our sincerely held religious beliefs. And we are able to participate
or not say things
or not
that we
say
do
things.
believe.
Absolutely. So it can't be compulsory either way. And what they're trying to do is not only compel you to participate in speech that you disagree with, but they're also trying to silence speech that they don't approve of. And that is not the functionality or any power that is given to the government. And so we don't have to all agree. That's the beauty of actually coming together to seek out truth, because the best type of way to get to the truth is to have more speech, to have more debate, to have more argumentation. But argument isn't this quarreling, it's not fighting, it's not, having just these this banter back and forth. It's actually intellectually based discussion that we all are participating in, respecting that there will be differences. A lot of my friends are liberal Democrats, and I want to hear what they have to say in good faith, because that refines and shapes what I understand about truth and what I advocate for.
Right.
And that's why these freedoms are so central. But what the Democrats are doing is they're trying to manipulate those terms and say it's only on what we want to allow you to do. And that is completely antithetical to any power that's genuinely given to government.
Right. Jenna Ellis, we appreciate your insights into the Constitution of this country, the laws that we are governed by, thanks to our representatives formulating them at our request, and that we will inevitably be losing this constitutional republic if we depart from these very important principles. I'm so grateful to you for sharing them with us again and reminding us of their importance. We're going to break. We're going to, I hope, expect the Senate to be back when we do return. If so, great. If not, I'll be talking with you a bit further. In the meantime, thank you for staying tuned for this important civics lesson here at Securing America.